down every series. Everybody understand?
And it's a pick six with a flip.
We're in this thing together.
1, 2, 3.
Let's go.
5-man rush to the slant. It's caught. Touchdown, San Antonio. Oh, the people's elbow.
Oh, come on, man, from back down.
And it is caught. Jontre Kirkland. Penetration, and they stop him on 4th down.
Gordon caught it. Gordon's backstepping. Gordon's gonna score.
What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition. What's up, XFL Nation, and welcome to another edition of the OG XFL Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub, your alt football media guru, episode 188. And you just saw some sights. At first, you got a little promo video from a week or so ago. Then you got some sights and sounds of the XFL this past weekend, especially big news about the St. Louis Battlehawks. We'll get into that whole stuff. You know, the largest XFL audience, fans of all time. We've got that. We've got Mike Mitchell's power rankings. We got press conference, scores, stats, your social media stuff. Also, I wanted to announce that next week, since we are at the halfway point of the season, live once again, XFL News Hub Reporter Roundtable. We'll bring all the guys on. You can ask them your questions live. We'll do it we'll do it again. So we'll have a live Reporters Roundtable next Monday for the show. So remember, if you like football, then like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Let's get this sucker to 100 likes and alert. So when we go live, then you get new content. So help spread the word about the XFL. So as we do at the beginning of every episode, if you want to be part of the show, email podcast at XFL News Hub with your thoughts. Record an MP3 or video. We'll play it on the phone. 888-430-7692, extension 3. We have fans. We have some phone calls for this episode as well. And leave us a review. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'll read it on the show. We always appreciate that. And we are live at 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday and Thursday. This Thursday is a little different because we have a game that will be taking place in Seattle later on at night. So we'll be live, hang out with us Thursday, and then get to the game and watch the game later on. So that should be a lot of fun. So we all have that. Plus, we have our DraftKings League. If you want to join the DraftKings League, that's in the show notes. Also, News Hub Fantasy, doing well. Lots of new updates to the site. Leagues are forming for the USFL. Big announcement today from the USFL that they're having a lot of their games on Fox and NBC, 6 more than last year. So that's going to be great for that league, great for the USFL, because we've seen here, if you're not on ABC, not even ESPN is going to get you 1 million viewers. But if you're on ABC or Fox or NBC, you're getting those big numbers. And I think that's huge, not only for the USFL, but also for alt football in general, because that's really what I care about. And that alt football is the XFL, the USFL, CFL, Indoor Football League. Anything that's not college football and NFL is alt football. And that's how we call it. And that's what we do here at all of the news hubs, whether it's USFL, XFL, CFL News Hub. It's just promoting all football, not only for the fans, but for the players, for the leagues to help them grow, and also for our reporters to have a chance to do something that they normally might not have been able to do, which is to cover professional sports. So that's our mission. Anything else is just junk out there. So what we're going to do is we'll get into the scores and stats. We'll get into the press conferences. Good stuff. Rod Woodson does not hold back. He is my favorite person to watch at the press conferences by far, because he just doesn't hold back. And he can do that because he's Rod Woodson, okay? And he won a Super Bowl with the Ravens too. I have a video behind the scenes, not really behind the scenes, but I was actually at the opportunity to go to the press box for the DC Defenders game. My poor wife and daughter had to brave the elements, how cold it was, but they had a blast. They had a good time. It was my daughter's first time ever being to a professional XFL game, professional football game, despite the fact that it was freezing cold and rainy the whole time, and attendance was down. We figured it would be. They still had a great time. So, and it was a lot of fun. And that was just a small house. Even the energy was still there, no matter what. So I have that behind the scenes too, and so much more. So without further ado, we're going to get into the scores, then the press conferences, then the latest news, and then we'll get to your stuff on the social, as well as everybody in the chat. Welcome in the chat, hanging out with us. And it was a lot of great time. Shout out to Jeff. Hung out with him from roofing company that I just cannot remember right this second, but I got a chance to chat with him and meet other XFL News Hub fans. So I appreciate everybody coming up to me and talking to me. It's a lot of fun to meet you guys and, your backstory and why you're into the XFL and love the league like I do. We all love alt football, and we all want it to succeed at the end of the day. So I appreciate all of you guys as well. So without further ado, let's get into the week that was the XFL, shall we? First game up, Houston Roughnecks, Orlando Guardians. That was on Saturday night at 7 p.m. I was actually at a party, so I couldn't watch the game, but I was checking it on my phone. 44-16. There was no doubt about this one that the Houston Roughnecks remain undefeated. They put 20 up in the first quarter alone. Some of the stats: Brendan Silver, 24 of 30, 239 yards and 3 touchdowns. Cole McDonald, not really much involved in the offensive there. Dejoun Lee, 6 carries for 45 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was filling in for Max Borghi, who was out of the game, kind of a last-minute scratch. I was kind of surprised to see him not in the game. On the receiving, Travell Harris, 3 catches for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns on 4 targets. Deontay Burnett, 3 catches for 62 yards, 3 targets and a touchdown. And John Trey Kirkland, 2 catches, 49 yards, and a touchdown as well. So 4 touchdowns in the game. 3 by Brandon Silvers. And if you didn't notice, who was the other person to throw the touchdown? John Trey Kirkland. 1 for 1, 49 yards through the touchdown. They've talked about that pass, on the double forward pass on the media, and that was a really cool play. I'm surprised, break it out. No one has run the reverse on the kickoff, by the way. I'm waiting for that to happen because that was the only time a kickoff has been run back. So clearly we knew this was going to happen. The Guardians are who we thought they were. But again, Paxton Lynch, 18 of 30, 267 yards and 2 touchdowns, no picks, 8.9%. I think he's playing well. Am I the only one? I think Paxton Lynch is playing well now. He should be the guy going forward. DeAndre Francois, I knew he got dinged up a little bit. And, the big signing of Quentin Flowers, who kind of wasn't happy in Tampa. He's going to take a couple weeks to get up and going. Is he the answer over Paxton Lynch? I don't think so. I think he's doing good. 18 of 30, 267, and 2 touchdowns, no picks. Devin Darrington, the running game is the problem. 12 carries, 40 yards as a team total. 82 carries on the ground. Charleston Rambo is a guy, 2 catches, 89 yards, and a touchdown. Cody Latimer, same thing, 4 for 57, no touchdowns, but he had 7 targets. Lance Lenore, former USFL guy, 3 receptions for 36 yards on 5 targets. That's how they got there. Eli Rogers was in there. Just, are they close? I don't know. I mean, there's just a lot going on in Orlando. And, they were going up against a buzzsaw in the Houston Roughnecks. So we'll have to see, because this week is the battle of the 0-4 teams. The 0-4, well, we'll get to who else was 0-4 here in a second, but you probably already know. On to the next one, San Antonio Brahmas, Seattle Sea Dragons. I thought this was going to be a lot more high scoring. San Antonio couldn't get anything going. I thought for sure, that their offensive struggles last week was just because they went up against Houston, but now they went up to Seattle. Brahmas are 1-3. Seattle is 2-2. They're in the hunt in the playoffs for the Brahmas. Where is the stats here, my friends from the XFL page? Let's refresh it and see what's going on there. But I thought this was going to be a way more high-scoring game than it was. I'm just loading the page. Because we are live, my friends. There we go. Jack Cohn, 20 of 39, 189 yards, no picks, but only 4.8 average. I'm sort of looking at the averages here. I mean, there's a lot of check down, nothing going there. And the running game, 21 yards. I mean, the Sea Dragons defense, are they that good? 21 yards rushing. I mean, this is a heavy run offense. Balaj, I mean, they didn't even really try. I mean, it wasn't like they were down by a ton. I mean, it was 6-15. It wasn't, they just kind of abandoned the running game, went to the air. Travis Tovian, 3 catches for 54 yards and 7 targets. Jalen Tolliver is his favorite target, 6 of 34 and 10 targets. And Alize Mack is a guy that I always look at tight end, just 29 yards and 4 targets. Just couldn't really get anything going on offense, but neither really did the Sea Dragons. They're not exempt from not really doing much either. Ben DiNucci, 28 of 41, 264 yards, a 6.4% average, 1 TD, 1 interception. Morgan Ellison is a guy, gets his first touchdown, 16 carries, 69 yards, and a touchdown. There was the question that went to him about at the end of the game where he was and I had tweeted about it, where he was like, hey, I'm just happy to be in the XFL. And we kind of got into that discussion, and maybe we'll talk about it in the social thing a little bit later, about, how the coverage always brings up these guys playing in the NFL. And it's like, oh, well, it's not everybody's going to be in the NFL. And I really appreciated Morgan Ellison's response to the question. He's like, hey, I'm just happy to be playing professional football, and I'm just enjoying the moment, and I'm enjoying playing in the XFL. They're doing a lot of good things, and if the NFL happens, great. But it was like, it's just kind of a thing that I'm like, okay, let's just, maybe we should back up a little bit with the whole, like, pushing the NFL constantly thing. But we'll get into that later. Ja'Cour Pearson, 8 catches for 76 yards. He's a guy. 9 targets. Blake Jackson, 5 of 59 and 8 targets. And Josh Gordon held in check, 5 for 57 on 8 targets. That was a big thing that Hines Ward was pushing with his corner, is to, if you shut down Josh Gordon and held him in check, that you'll get some looks from some NFL teams. Duane Green had the only touchdown catch. He was 4 of 36 for 6 targets and a touchdown. I thought this would be a lot more high-scoring game. This is making me a little concerned about the San Antonio Brahmas offense. And Jack Cohn, I thought he was a guy. Remember, but that was against Orlando, where he lit it up pretty well. And Seattle, I really thought that they would light it up too. But Brahmas have got some guys on defense, so it's going to be a real interesting thing coming in the week, because the Brahmas are taking on the Renegades. And I've been thinking about my picks, and I think I might go Brahmas. I think the Brahmas could beat the Renegades, because we'll get into Arlington in a second here. The Arlington Renegades, they lost. They came into the Battle Dome. Cacaw is the law. St. Louis showed out. Record-breaking 38,000 fans in attendance. They couldn't bring in more because they have to hire more. They could have opened more tickets, but they have to hire staff to take on that more amount of people, so they're working feverishly to try to do that now. But I think they could probably tap out again at 38,000, give them some time to hire staff and kind of build things up. They could possibly go even higher, but 38,000 is the XFL record attendance, going back to 2001. Shout out to Mike Mitchell for having all that data. So 11:24, we knew the Battlehawks were going to wreck shop. I was wondering if Kyle Sloter and the Arlington Renegades offense would come to life. They did not. 11-24 was the final. Kyle Sloter, 23 of 39, 205 yards, 5.3 average, and 3 picks. Definitely not syncing up yet. Even on the offensive side, Devon Smith, a guy who could run the ball, 9 carries, 24 yards, and a touchdown. Not really much on there. Kyle Vander Esch, he's been a guy that's getting a lot of yards, 2 catches, 48 yards, 5 targets. Tyler Vaughn, 4 of 45, 6 targets. And, of course, Sal Cannella, the best tight end in all football, 6 catches for 40 yards and on 9 targets. Went there, but just the offense is just not get going. And I think it was our friends from the XFL show. Oh, my gosh, I can't Dirty and those guys over there, I saw them tweet somewhere. It was like, hey, don't you have 2 offensive coordinators on your team, Renegades? So definitely check out I'm sure they're going to talk a little smack about the DC Defenders taking on the St. Louis Battlehawks. So check out their show. But I think it was somebody had made that comment, and I thought that was a good comment there. Battlehawks on the offensive side of things, A.J. McCarron, 20 of 27, 214 yards, 7.9, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Brian Hill on the ground, 89 yards, 1 touchdown. He looked good on the ground. Darius Shepard on your fantasy team. It seems like Shepard and Hakeem, I thought it was Hakeem Butler mostly, but Shepard seems to be a guy too. 8 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown on 8 targets. Hakeem Butler, 5 for 52 and a touchdown on 6 targets. Austin Prohl also had 6 targets, but 4 catches for 26 yards. Darius Shepard and Hakeem Butler look to be the 2 guys, kind of that big target and that quick target with Darius Shepard. So look for Darius Shepard to be a guy to put in your lineups, but maybe not against the DC Defenders. But they handle it business. Great thing for St. Louis, great thing for the XFL. It gives the league a jolt. Remember also, so not only was the Battlehawks a record-breaking for the XFL, they go to 3-1, taking on the 4-0 DC Defenders, and 2-2 Seattle Sea Dragons right behind them. This is a pivotal game for both teams. I mean, so Seattle to stay in the hunt and St. Louis to stay in the hunt. If St. Louis loses and Seattle wins, now they're both 3-2, and y'all have some problems, while the DC Defenders would be 5-0. Just kind of saying. Get that home playoff game. That's what we want. The beer snake would be flowing on that game. That place would be rocking. But the Seattle Sea Dragons actually had 5,000 more fans in attendance as they did in their home opener. So, those 2 signs were good. Now, the next game was the DC Defenders, the one that I was at. Vegas Vipers, 18-32. DC Defenders take care of business. It was cold. It was rainy. It was like that rainy/snowy kind of thing. Still, 11 fans showed out. 11,000 fans showed out. The beer snake was just as big. I mean, it wasn't as big as it was the previous week on week 2 game, but still, the beer snake was flowing. That section was rocking. The fans were funny, even throwing stupid lemons on the field, which I'm like, come on, but it is funny, but you know what I'm saying. Vegas Vipers, Huntley, and you'll hear in a minute in the press conference, Rod Woodson talking about shouldn't have started Huntley, but Huntley was fine, 4 or 5, 50 yards. I believe he had a fumble, and that's why he took him out. He had a fumble. So he fumbled, he took him out. Luis Perez, 23 of 32, 283 yards, 8.8 average, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He looked good. He's Luis Perez. He's a veteran of this stuff. And I thought they did good. John Lovett, 7 carries, 39 yards, and Rod Smith, 5 carries, but there's still only 71 yards on the ground. Jeff Badette is his favorite target, is a guy that you need to look at every week. 7 catches, 80 yards, no touchdowns on 9 targets. Sneak Sweeting, 3 catches, 65 yards, and 2 touchdowns on 6 targets as well. Martavis Bryant, really not doing anything in the XFL. 3 catches for 43 yards on 4 targets. Nothing really going on there. But again, the DC Defenders take the win. That was the news. Brett Hundley getting benched for Luis Perez, but you'll hear Rod Woodson talk all about that. So let's right now get into some post-game press conferences.
That was not very good, and it starts with me.
Orlando Guardians.
You try to get the thing right, you make changes, you do, and obviously we have to continue to make changes. And that's something that I've already started thinking about. What are we going to do with, that's from the top down. It ain't just the coaches, the players all the time. Sometimes you got to do some different things schematically. And switch around some things with the coaches. So that's the next step. That was pretty bad.
Coach Buckley, is Alan from the Alan and Aaron Sports Radio Show. Sorry about the tough loss.
Well, that wasn't really tough. They took it to us. A tough loss is like last week. It was embarrassing. It just hurts because it's the preparation that we had last week. I just felt like it was going to be a better showing than that.
Yeah, I definitely do too. But after halftime, it seemed like the team did come back out rejuvenated. You still had a good chance, and it seemed like the wheels fell off the car. Can you explain what happened?
Turnovers, penalties. Just we played undisciplined, which would bite you and turn a close game into a blowout. So, again, starts with me, how we're doing things, the preparation. Obviously, that's not working. We got to do something else.
Coach, you mentioned making changes to try to get things right, too. Is there an element as well that part of the reason that you're getting penalties and some of the struggles is players trying to catch up and adjust on the fly?
Well, some of them, it doesn't matter if you just got here playing ball, pre-snap, the snap count. Hitting guys in the back. That's football 101. You get into, and we have earpieces in the helmet, so there's something missing that we're not gelling in game time. We none of this happens in practice. Suddenly get out here in the game and it's like, what is going on?
Coach, we heard your comments on the broadcast and then the opening statement that you just made, kind of hinting at some changes. Are you planning on calling plays for this team next week and down the line?
Well, we'll see. It's a lot of things that I'm thinking about, obviously. And obviously, you got to do it quickly. We got a game next week we got to get ready for. And I always tell the players we have a 24-hour time, which probably is less than that, to wallow in your pity and be sad, and then we got to get back to work. And so I'm going to have to take really to heart my own advice.
Coach, what's DeAndre Francois' status right now, and how quickly will Quentin Flowers be ready to play?
Well, Francois got banged up. I don't know what the medical report is, but he was pulled out. He could not go back in for something, and hopefully Flowers is ready to go next week.
Tough one, man. This one hurts. Anytime you lose a game, I think it hurts because you see the hard work that our players put into it. Defensively, I thought they played their tails off going against a high-powered offense. I think Luke Barku, he held his own against some talented wide receivers. So this was his coming out party. Really not coming out. I always knew that he was going to be a special player. So offense, not too happy about our offense. Right now we're not playing complimentary football. Special teams playing lights out. Defense playing lights out. Offensively, things aren't clicking. And for whatever reason, I got to look at it, evaluate it, and there will be changes. I got to do something. I can't keep 4 games now, and we had the one good game against Orlando, but ever since then we haven't really done much offensively, and so I'm not too happy about that. But hats off to Seattle. Well coached, got some playmakers. They executed better than we did. They got a win. They're back to 500, and I just told our guys we just got to focus on our division. We got 2 games coming up with Arlington. Arlington plays St. Louis tomorrow. I just know they take the top 2 teams, and for us, we got to do some soul searching within ourselves. But our focus is just going to be Arlington, learn from it, and just try to see we can improve collectively as a team and get ready for Arlington next week.
Questions? Was it more the defense or your offense line?
I just think it was just execution on our offense. Their defense is solid, but they didn't do anything that was out the ordinary. We expected the same coverages. It was a challenge because we lost some guys offensively up front. We were trying to change, trying to find a chemistry with our front 5. But whatever it is, we didn't execute the way we were supposed to. We left some plays out on the field, and for whatever reason, in 4 games, I'm not too happy with our offense right now.
You guys saw a lot.
Yeah, great win Anthony for us. I'm happy for this team. What an environment to be a part of. I was telling everybody kind of before the game, just being able to be a head coach in this league was awesome. But being the assigned coach of St. Louis is it's next level. Very appreciative of the opportunity for that, and was really just really wanted to win this game for the fan base. They've been waiting a long time. The schedule makers put 3 road games in front of us, but I'm glad our guys, went 2-1 on the road. We're able to come back and just really play a well-rounded game today. 3 phases came together, played well. We talked about that all week. We had to play 4 quarters of football, and I'm talking about the first couple quarters of the game. We just have not started well. It was good to go in at halftime and have a lead, but just proud of both sides of the football. Offense, great balance today. I believe we're 27 passes, 28 runs, over 100 yards rushing, and the defense has turned it on, man. Lights out today, 4 turnovers, back to what we're used to, setting the bar from a turnover standpoint. Donnie did a great job with his guys, and really just took Arlington's offense out of it for most of the football game. So very appreciative. It's a great win. It was great to be in St. Louis, and 1-0 at home. We got 4 more of those. I can't wait. Can't wait to come back next week. Got a big game ahead of us, and it was good to get a victory. Unbelievable. I mean, the desperate fan base that loves football. I remember when I played here in 08, there was a lot of patches in that lower level. It wasn't as full then. That was electric, man. The guys in the locker room were fired up. I told them to feed off that energy. I knew emotionally early in the game they had to keep their cool. A lot of those guys have not played in that kind of environment for a while. So it was good to see, but shout out to the St. Louis fan base. I did see some extra seats up there. Maybe we can open up another section every single week and get more fans if they decide to come, but it was just staying there till the end as well. That meant a lot. They just really deeply care, and our players care about the fans as well. So it's a big deal for me. I want this to be a place where it's hard for teams to play. Try to get them amped up as most as I can, paying attention to the game on 3rd downs. I really think it's an advantage for us, man. It really does give energy to our team, and it's a big deal. When the other team can't hear and it gets loud and rowdy, we're swinging towels around, that's a distraction. It's hard. So we want that every week. It's got to be huge next week. We can do even better, I think, but I'm really thankful for the fan base and them showing up, and it was really, really fun to be a part of it.
Coach, talk a little bit about just you said fast start.
Yeah.
Something you've been looking for, kind of getting them, putting them down and keeping them down.
Yeah, our game plan's been really good to start the game. We just haven't executed at the level we want to. you don't make excuses. Building a team from the ground up, being on the road for 3 weeks, you're trying to generate a little bit of continuity up front with our line, but it comes down to execution. We have been limiting our errors down each and every week to start the game, but the problem is those small errors have turned into catastrophic mistakes. Whether it was our defense on giving something up last week on offense or vice versa, us not executing and making plays downfield on offense. So it was good to put it together today. Good balance. We protected the football for most of the game. And, it's a good team victory. All 3 phases showed up today. Donnie I believe he had a field goal today. He made his kick, so it was good to see that. And the energy was great, and the guys fed off of it.
Impressive, too, after they scored the 1 touchdown. You guys responded right away. That was key for you, obviously.
Yeah, no question. I mean, listen, they're trying to put something together, mount it together. When we came back and scored, we were talking about just kind of the scenario and decided to go for 1 and go up 13, thinking if they went down and it took them a while to score, they'd probably have to go to get a touchdown and convert a 3-pointer if we didn't get any points if we went for 2. So we went for the higher probability, make it a true 2-score game. And the way our defense was playing, I just wanted to feed off that. They were doing a great job. I just thought it'd be difficult for them in that situation. We executed that play and won up for 13 points. So it's a good job of the offense today, especially, like you said, in the second half, also responding and taking the lead into halftime. It's always nice to be up going in at half.
When you see from a guy like St-Q on a day in, day out basis, how do you see that translate on the field like it did today?
St-Q's a heck of a player, quick, can make you miss in space. Hope when you're in this wet weather like this, you got to keep your feet under your body. We got to find a way to get our 7-stud cleats, which we still don't have. We're waiting for 4 weeks now. They said we're going to be getting 7-stud cleats. We still don't have 7-stud cleats. So at the end of the day, though, we shot ourselves in the foot. I shouldn't have played, Huntley, who didn't practice all week. That's my fault. I gave that opportunity to show me otherwise. That shot us in the foot. We dug ourselves in a hole, and we dug a little bit more defensively. We're better than what we've been showing. Got to stop the run. Can't give up 170 yards rushing and think you're going to win. So, that's been the downside. But to answer the question, St-Q's an excellent little slot receiver, can make big plays. Just hopefully he'll keep his feet next time.
Coach, what did the refs say to you going into the halftime after that touchdown was taken back?
They overturned it. I don't know what they saw. I know when I looked at the monitor, it looked like his leg was up. Anything outside of his elbow has to be down for the ball to be down. Seemed like his elbow was down to me after he was on the white line with the ball across the front part of the line. It's crazy. We've been getting we've been getting bit by the refs, and I've been telling the guys, hey, we got to outplay the refs. They're not our friends. They haven't been our friends all year. I don't think they're going to be our friends the rest of the year after me complaining so much. I'm probably the only person that's going to complain to them because I think they need to do their job and do it the right way, unbiasedly, if I complain or not. That's their job. But at the end of all, we got to make plays, and we haven't done that.
How disappointed are you when they only 4 start, we still have 6
Oh,
games to go?
shoot. I'm extremely disappointed because I know we have a good football team. We've been in every single game. We took some chances, went forward on 4th down and didn't get it, ran the belly. Shouldn't have ran the belly. I would have preferred them to stay in spread because of our big backs. They couldn't stop our big backs today. I don't think all our big backs are always falling forward for yardage. So I would have preferred to see our guys with our big guys at 15 or Lovett, Rod or Lovett in there, or even Burt in there. Just getting the ball 5 yards down, coming downhill. I knew they'll gain a yard. So this is one of those things that we have to revisit as we keep moving forward. We're going to keep being aggressive as a football team, taking opportunities that we have, thinking that we're going to convert those.
What did you see for us today? He came in and ran the offense smoothly.
Who's it?
Quarterback, I'm sorry.
Louis? Louis is a player. He's the ultimate pro. He's always going to be ready. He doesn't know, he didn't know if he was going to play tonight or not. And then I told him during the week, Huntley hasn't taken that many snaps, so be ready. And he was. He came in and led the team down the field. Very smart. I want our guys to be a little bit more timely in the pocket with the ball, knowing that 3-second clock has to be there in your mind. Get rid of it. End all, throw it away. But even that last one, there was a couple guys that he could have threw the ball to, at least had opportunity. Not saying we could have got the first down, but at least had the opportunity. But with all that being said, the end all is that we defensively we didn't play that well. We gave up 32 points on defense. A week ago we gave up 30. We gave up 377 yards passing last week. Today we gave up 175 rushing. The last time to these dudes we gave up 200-something yards rushing. You're not going to win football games doing that.
Would you mind commenting a little bit about the play of your opponent, about Washington? They seem to be playing.
They run a college system, and if you don't fit up the runs, it works. They had three pass plays of substance. The rest of them were 8, 10-yard passes, and they had three quarterback runs or quarterback draws, where they kept it, and they had some long ones with that. It is a true college system. You got to be able to fit it up, and you got to fit it up all day long. And if you don't, big plays will happen.
I imagine that you guys came in with a different game plan because one of their best linebackers out of the game. Did you guys execute that exact plan, or do you feel like it just kind of went out the window?
No, we were running the ball. We thought even if 43 was in the game, I think it's Bernard. Yeah. I think if Bernard was in the game, we thought we still can run the ball against him. We think we can run the ball against anybody. We think we have a solid offensive line that we can move the ball against anybody. We did that not consistently, but we did it in chunks at times. Just want to see that be more positive going down the line, going down the road.
Anything else in person, or can we go to Zoom? Any questions for Coach Woodson on Zoom?
Yeah, I got one real quick.
Go ahead,
Coach.
Vegas relieved Duane Taylor of the offensive coordinating duties. This was just basically within days of their game against the DC Defenders. So it's 3 weeks into the season, the Vipers decided to part ways with offensive coordinator Duane Taylor. Taylor was hired back in December of 2022 and was originally an assistant coach, offensive coordinator at Alabama A&M from 2018 till 2021. Within this in mind, the Vipers will begin their OC coach, where they had their game against DC Defenders. Marcus Lewis was a guy that they potentially, the running backs coach, former Hampton Pirate running back and former NFL running back coach with the Bengals. Ray Sherman, 48 years of coaching experience, 35 of those years were spent in the NFL. I believe it was Ray Sherman who eventually did call the plays this past week. Other guys, they had Charlie Eager, former OC at Seton Hills Athletic and Clarion Athletics, coached in the CFL with the Ottawa Redblacks, and then offensive line coach Bob Wiley. 28 years of experience in the NFL, also coached with the Red Blacks in their 2020 and 2021 season. So they went with Ray Sherman. You saw from the outcome of the game that the offense looked a little bit better with Luis Perez in there. They took Hundley out. We'll see there. So we'll see. We assume that he will be the guy moving forward. But the first real big firing in the XFL after basically 3 weeks of the season, Duane Taylor's out. And some of these lower tier teams like Orlando Guardians and the Vipers could be seeing some other, and even San Antonio has talked about it, some changes on the horizon. The XFL and ESPN announced some changes to the schedule, another schedule change. So the XFL today announced updates to its 2023 schedule in partnership with Walt Disney Company and ESPN, the exclusive broadcast partner of the XFL. So week 5, Sunday, March 19th, Arlington Renegades versus San Antonio Brahmas at the Alamo Dome is now scheduled for 9 p.m., 8 p.m. Central, and we broadcast on ESPN2. Saturday, April 1st, April Fool's Day, right? The Brahmas versus the Vipers at Cashman Field is now scheduled for 3 p.m. and will be broadcast on ESPN2. This game was previously scheduled at 6 p.m., so they're moving it back. And then we'll get into the specifics of all this. So Saturday, April 1st, the DC Defenders Orlando Guardians at Camping World Stadium is now scheduled for 6 p.m. and will be broadcast on ESPN. The game was previously scheduled for Sunday the 2nd at 7 p.m. on FX. So this game moves over from FX to ESPN, even though the Guardians haven't been playing that well, but they moved over to Saturday. Then Sunday, the Battlehawks Houston Roughnecks, April 2nd, is scheduled for 2 p.m. It'll be broadcast on ESPN. The game was previously scheduled for Saturday. So they flipped the DC Defenders. So you're like, okay, well, what has changed? Well, we broke it down for you right here. So Sunday, the March 19th, the Arlington Renegades San Antonio Brahmas game just moves up an hour, but still on the same network. So nothing there. Brahmas Vipers moves on the Sunday, April 1st. Brahmas Vipers moves from ESPN to ESPN2. Why? The game's at Cashman Field. And need we say more? That's kind of where my take was. I was like, okay, well, I mean, this is one of the games that you could point out and say, yes, they moved it down a level, putting it on ESPN2. You know, the Vipers, even though this could be a good game, I mean, maybe these both teams can get their act together April 1st, but, you know, the whole thing with the optics of Cashman Field, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if they could stick it on FX, I think they would. That's what's going on there. So that was moved. The DC Defenders Orlando Guardians moved from Sunday on FX to ESPN. So a new day and a better network. So that's where that switch was there. And then Sunday, Battlehawks versus Houston Roughnecks. Houston Roughnecks is one of the top teams. They moved from Saturday at 3 p.m. on ESPN2 to Sunday at 2 o'clock on ESPN. Again, a better network and a bigger game. So it's really interesting that the XFL has already started flexing these, moving these games around on their schedule throughout the whole season. You know, they got to balance who's can do what and stadium situations. But this is the first one where we've seen games switched on different days and different networks. They're trying to maximize what teams they have. I mean, the USFL didn't even announce their schedules till a couple weeks in advance. Now, granted, they were only in one location, but the times of their games. So this is kind of similar to what the USFL did. This is not a sign that it's the end of the world of the XFL after 4 weeks. This is just the networks trying to maximize viewership, eyeballs, interest, what games they think will be good, and juggling everything else that's going on in the sports calendar there. So trust me, this probably won't be the end, especially when we start getting into weeks 8, 9, and 10 for the playoffs. But it's good to see that we're moving around and kind of really moving away from FX and trying to get things on ESPN to maximize the exposure for the XFL. Mike Mitchell has his power rankings from the best to worst. Let's get right into it. So 40% of the XFL season is completed with 6 weeks left to play. Isn't that sad? All the hype and everything we've been talking about getting to this point, and now there's only 6 weeks left, 40% done. And after this week, they'll be halfway. 2 teams are still unbeaten at the top of their respective divisions, while 2 others remain winless. So let's see how he breaks it down. Number 1, and I totally agree, the top team, week 5 power rankings, the Houston Roughnecks. They are actually 9-0 in their XFL history after their best all-around performance of the season Saturday night in Orlando. Houston's 44-16 conquering of the Guardians marks the most points scored by a team in XFL history, dating all the way back to XFL 1.0 in 2001. Look at that, 44%. That is interesting. I did not know that. Most points scored by a team in XFL history. Mike Mitchell should know because he covered the XFL in 2001 because he was 2 years old at the time. Roughnecks rolled to a 20-0 lead quickly against Orlando thanks to the defensive score and red-hot offense that added extra sizzle. Of course, they had the double forward pass that everybody was talking about. And I am a huge fan. We've never been fans in sports of the offensive or defensive coordinators. I like A.J. Smith. I like watching A.J. Smith call plays. I think he is great, and he could be somebody moved in somewhere. One of the coaches that makes it, because I mean, if they run the table, AJ Smith could be a guy that teams are looking at. But the problem is, they'd stick him like, okay, well, you come over and be whatever. You let him call plays. Let him call plays. So that was a 44-16. Number two, of course, America's team, as always. DC Defenders stay undefeated after a 32-18 victory over the Vipers. DC is now 6-0 all time at Audi Field. So you can't beat DC Defenders in Audi Field. Reggie DeBarlo deserves a lot of credit for the way his team has opened up the XFL season. It can be challenging getting 51 players and the hiring coaching staff to get on the same page, but they work together. From the outset, Barlow's defense has quickly established its identity. You're talking Greg Williams. He's a legendary defensive coordinator. And DC was just too much for Vegas overall on Sunday night. Now DC is 4-0 in their division with a chance to go 5-0 in the North in Week 5, headed to St. Louis. Number 3. So you got the number 2 ranked team and the number 3 ranked team. Why? Because it's the St. Louis Battlehawks at 3-1. Week 4 in the XFL is all about the Battlehawks returning home for the first time in 3 years, and their return in St. Louis did not disappoint. St. Louis soared past the Arlington Renegades 24-11 in front of 38,310 fans. The total set an XFL attendance record surpassing the 38,253 fans at the San Francisco Demons home opener in 2001, which Mike Mitchell was not there. The Sunday's Battlehawks crowd was the largest for a spring pro football game in the United States in 3 decades, just to give you an idea, which is really awesome. Number 4, Seattle Sea Dragons, 2-2. That's tough. After a 15-6 victory at Lumen Field over the San Antonio Brahmas, the Seattle Dragons have blazed their way back into the playoff picture with 2 consecutive wins. Wasn't pretty. Dragons continued to burn themselves with costly mistakes and inopportune times, so much so that head coach Jim Haslett jokingly threatened to kill his quarterback Ben DiNucci for that interception late in the game. Do you remember that? He's like, I'm going to kill you. Said that at the end of the game. But I think the Dragons are a team. The Dragons are a team, and they should be in the hunt. I don't have a problem with them at this level. Arlington Renegades, I agree with Mike here at number 5. They're lucky to be 2-2. They have a tough draw of any team in Week 4 because they had to go up against the Buzzsaw in St. Louis. Arlington played the role of sacrificial lamb, to borrow a wrestling term from the Duane Johnson. The Renegades did the job on Sunday, so they went down. They knew that. But Bob Stoops' squad talked up a good game, put a good fight, but ran out of steam, falling 24-11 to the Battlehawks. Sloter made some nice plays, and Arlington showed some progression in their passing attack, but 3 interceptions in a hostile environment did the Renegades in. I am concerned. So Arlington needs to group and rebound quickly. They have 2 critical back-to-back division games against the Brahmas, starting with the trip to the Alamo Dome on Sunday night. I'm really curious, does the Alamo Dome sell more tickets? They were there the first week. How is Alamo Dome going to look after a couple weeks? I'm really curious to see how their attendance goes. Number 6, San Antonio Brahmas. Al is not lost with the Brahmas, despite their 1-3 start. They just need to start winning immediately, or they will fall for the wayside at the midway point in the season, because now we're going to start getting there. This 15-6 loss was another hard fought by San Antonio, but the Brahmas simply haven't been able to generate enough big plays on offense to pull through the games. Wards needs to consider making a switch at quarterback. I thought Jack Cohn would be the guy. Played a relatively mistake-free football, but the lack of downfield passing has clogged the Brahmas' ability to run the ball, which is what they like to do. Is Reed Sinnett a quarterback should be coming, but will San Antonio pull the trigger too late? They are facing a must-win situation Sunday night at home against Arlington. The Brahmas can't afford to fall back, especially with their attendance. If the Brahmas can win, that could be a big thing. And I think they can. And I think Jack Cohn's still a guy. We just have to – we'll see what happens during the week as San Antonio makes some changes on the offensive side. Vegas Vipers, of course, at number 4. Changing their offensive coordinator heading into Week 4, but they didn't really change their fortune. Again, tons of rain. You got 2 games with lots of rain. People were slipping around. You heard Rod Woodson talk about in the press conference about not getting the cleats. He's been asking for the cleats. You know, they are so close to putting it together. I was watching from the press box how pissed off he was at the coaches. Now, granted, it's on the screen. This guy's replaying it. I don't know. I don't think the refs are out to get you, but he's Rod Woodson, Hall of Famer. So he is a guy. So we'll just trust in Rod. But I think of the two of the teams that haven't had a win, I think the Vegas Vipers could easily be 2-2. Finally, we are who we thought they were. Guardians have taken so much abuse, all directions, that even misinformed. Oh, is he okay? Mike's taking a shot. That's some people. I'll just skip that part. Orlando Guardians are 0-4. That's funny. Terrell Buckley's squad played Houston much better in Week 4 than they did to open the season, even though the final score will tell you otherwise. They lost to the Roughnecks by 21. Yeah, they just looking bad. And there was a lot of penalties in the beginning of the game. It was just not a thing. And I think you're going to start to see, I don't think Paxton Lynch is playing bad. It's just everything else is not falling into place. And I really could see the Guardians games being flexed, as well as Vegas Cashman Field games being flexed to a lower tier, just to kind of get them off the television. And you should. You want to promote your top teams in the league. So we've got recap right here, and I totally agree with Mike Mitchell 100%. Houston Roughnecks are the team to beat. We haven't even beaten them before in the 2020. They're still rolling. DC Defenders at 4-0. Oh, man, could you imagine DC Defenders, Houston Roughnecks at home Monday night? It could happen. But they need to beat the number 3 team, the St. Louis Battlehawks, this week, and that is going to be tough. In St. Louis, probably with another 38,000 fans in attendance. We'll see there. Number 4, Seattle Sea Dragons. They have a critical game on Thursday night. We'll see how they do. They can get things going. Arlington Renegades, kind of that meh team. I thought Kyle Sloter would be a guy. I thought their offense would be better. They have 2 offensive coordinators. They need to dial it in and figure it out. Let's go. San Antonio Brahmas, I still think they could be a decent team at number 6. Number 7, the Vegas Vipers could well be 4-4. And then finally, we are who they thought they were, the Orlando Guardians at number 8. So let us know in the comments. Would you change this order? You think it's right point? We've got some teams. We know who are the big players and we know who the guys are down. But hey, the season is short. A change here and there could be the difference. And a team could make a run. We're just going to have to wait and find out. And really sad news, the XFL mourns the loss of a member of their athletic training staff. So the XFL, the Battlehawks and DC Defenders are mourning the loss of a member of the training staff. The league announced on Friday that Ben Siegfried passed away. Reports are that he died at the team hotel Thursday evening. He worked with the XFL athletic training department for the Battlehawks and Defenders. The league said that the Lebanon Valley College graduate student was, quote, an integral part in preparing the Battlehawks and DC Defenders for the 2023 season. Quote, the XFL family mourns the loss of our teammate Ben Siegfried, who passed away last evening. Ben, graduate student athletic trainer from Lebanon Valley College, working with the XFL athletic training department, was an integral part of preparing our Battlehawks and Defenders for the season. His infectious smile in the locker room and passion for his work will be deeply missed by all the players and staff who had the opportunity to work with him. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family and friends. The Rock even tweeted something out. Anthony tweeted something out saying he hugged his mom and brother. It's just a sad thing that happened. I mean, it's just sad. According to Fox 2 sports reporter Daniel Esteve, morning meetings were canceled, but the practice continued as scheduled on Thursday. He was in his early 20s, and a cause of death has not been released. So we at XFL News Hub and all of XFL Nation are praying for his family, friends, and players from both teams. No surprise here, the XFL players seek an NLRB election to join the United Steelworkers. So the USW, the United Steelworkers, today said that the professional football players have filed a petition for a representation election with Region 16 of the National Labor Relations Board on behalf of roughly 475 professional athletes in the XFL. USW International President Thomas M. Conway said that organizing and bargaining collectively for better wages, benefits, and working conditions is the surest way for players to achieve security and stability in their lives and careers. Quote, no matter whether it's a factory or football field, every worker deserves a voice on the job and it is determining their own futures. Conway said as part of the USW, players will have a strong advocate to bargain fair and safe working conditions across the league. USW International Secretary Treasurer John Shin, who represents the union on AFL-CIO Sports Council, said that football players are like workers, deserve fair treatment. I mean, we've seen everything that's happened with some of these players dealing with some of these leagues folding. He said our union is committed to working with players to improve conditions, ensure that players are treated with dignity and respect by the leagues. From our successful experience bargaining with the USFL, they talked to the USFL, they worked things out. It wasn't any kind of big fight. And, you know, pay changed and a bunch of other things changed for the USFL players. So I would assume the same thing would happen in the XFL. We know that players can stand together in solidarity and can win contract improvements throughout the season that will truly raise their standards of living. Ryan Cave, Executive Vice President. Again, more solidarity. We are one voice and demand fairness and justice on the job. That's what XFL players will achieve by organizing a union. So the XFL employs 475 athletes who will play 10-game regular season. We know the deal. So just like this UFPA with Kenneth Farrow of the Arlington Renegades, running back, he was kind of the guy that kind of put this together after everything happened with the AAF and XFL, and he's been an integral part of that. And now, of course, this is not surprising, but I think it's good. You know, we want fair, and I think the XFL has been really good with the players so far. I mean, we've heard nothing but great things from the players about how, except for Rod Woodson, about the whole cleats thing. He's not happy about that, but maybe that's an Under Armour thing, or they couldn't get enough. Who knows? But we knew this was coming, and you know, hopefully they get something done after the off season, and we can come back and have an strong XFL for season 2. Or we take a commercial break and be right back with your social media stuff right after this. Stay tuned, my friends.
What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to other social media, our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today.
All right, my friends, game 3 in DC. We brought a special guest. My daughter came to the game because I will be in the press box. I don't have my DC Defenders gear. It's raining, so I got my computer. I'm dressed nicely, but of course what we're gonna do, as we always do, before a game, is hit Walters, check in, say hello. I'm sure the crowd is not gonna be as big as it was last time, just because of the weather. It's cold, but still, it should be better than the first game. So let's get an early peek in what's going on. All right, dropped them off at Walters. Now I'm walking over to the stadium to get a little behind the scenes. The DC Defenders were gracious enough to allow me to hang out in the press box and meet people and and talk, so I'm heading over there now. I'm not really sure if the crowd is going to be as hype, or I shouldn't say as hype, but as big as it was the last time. It's cold and it's rainy, so we're just going to have to kind of see. And Walters wasn't as packed, but the last time we were there, it was beautiful out, and it was at 1 o'clock on a Sunday. So we'll see, but the energy should still be rocking at the stadium. Hey, I think I found a stadium where the Vipers could play in if they want to. It's open right now. There's nobody playing in it. It's pretty big. I'm sure the field looks nice too. That's a wrap. DC Defenders with the big win. Got a chance to be in the press box. That was really cool. Appreciate that. It is. I feel bad. I know why we got 11,000 fans tonight, because it is freaking cold. And it was even cold in the press box. But hey, another great game for the DC Defenders. And the biggest thing is now we got undefeated DC Defenders taking on the St. Louis Battlehawks in the Dome. That's going to be a huge game. Hey, ESPN Disney, I think you should flex that game on ABC. That is going to be off the charts. Can't wait. There we go. We are back. And I want to shout out to Rob from Smart Roof. I could think his name is Jeff. It's Rob from Smart Roof. Got a chance to hang out with them in their booth there, a sponsor there at the DC Defenders. Great guy. Just trading stories, kids, family. So Rob, I appreciate the hospitality and checking out their suite that they had at the game. That was really cool. And all the fans that I met out there, like whether it was to go to the stadium or at Walters, just very cool. As always, just come up to me and say hello. I might forget your name or whatever, but I really appreciate it. Gives me energy to meet fans and to realize that all the hard work that we put in at XFL News Hub, that it's appreciated by the masses and the fans really like what we're doing. Because really what we're just trying to do is promote the league and, trying to be bros about the whole thing. And I think, our mission here is to put over the XFL and the USFL and the CFL and all these alt football leagues. There's tons of fans out there. They don't have things that they can connect to kind of, keep up to date on what's going on. And all the regular talking heads is always, to use a phrase from Pat McAfee, it's angry old whites, is he calls them old whites. But I think this angry old whites is kind of what sports talk is right now. And everybody's got to be negative and talk about what a bad person LeBron James is and what a bad person Aaron Rodgers is. And that's not our style at any of the news hubs and what we call ourselves after the seasons are over. But that's a whole other thing here. But that's not how I want to do business here. I'm just about putting the leagues over, being fun, and putting also the reporters at XFL News Hub or USFL News Hub or CFL News Hub, like giving them exposure. And the guys that, have worked with me, have gone to college with, recommendations that I've given and have, got jobs with the XFL and, get to be in the press boxes and all this stuff. And it's just, that's kind of what I'm here for. And it's not to fight all these dumb battles on social media about ratings and, who's going to win. I get it. There's just, there's people that want to mask that they want these leagues to fail, whether it's the XFL, USFL, CFL. And so they just want to be right. That's really, it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing. They just want to be like, "Ha, I told you so." And I want these leagues to succeed because I actually have a heart and I want them to succeed. And at the same time, a lot of these old white style, angry style type, whether it's a podcasters or media people that I see, it's, they tear down these leagues and then wonder why no one watches them, or, you know what I mean? Like, you're basically turning them off. And that's what I see in CFL media, is a lot of that, complaining, and that's not how I do business. And I'm trying to put all of these leagues over, and I think the angry old whites style of, your Colin Cowherds and whatever that guy on, Shannon Sharp and whatever the dude's name is. And even just a lot of the talking stuff on ESPN. I mean, I don't even watch ESPN anymore. They're not as angry, but still just kind of that, just a different vibe. We're just a different vibe here at XFL News Hub. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. Because we're all about the community and we're about to have fun. Speaking of community stuff, we have, let's see here if it will come up, our alt football. So if you want to join alt football on our Reddit, we got two more. We need 2 more people to get to 100. So this is basically everything that XFL News Hub puts out. This is all the articles I find that's about the USFL, CFL, Fan Control Football, Indoor Football League, the ELF. Any of that kind of alt stuff comes into here. Once the XFL season's over, then I'm going to swap these images out, and there'll be USFL images in there. And then when the CFL season's on, it'll be CFL, and so on and so forth. So you can check out alt football as well. And I haven't even talked about this in a while. What's going on with our members leagues? This is the XFL Week in Review Listener League. We haven't even talked about this. Everything is now running way more smoothly, and I'm so excited that this app is ready to rock and roll for the USFL season. The drafting thing is working better. We upgraded the server. It just got slammed towards the end, and people are going to hate or whatever, but I'd like to see you build an application from scratch. Let's see, by yourself, by the way. So weekly points winner this past week, it's Mr. Pass with 105 points. That's a huge win. Blob Stars got second. Me was third. Mueller got 47, and Nate Rossetti got 0. How did you get 0? You're not playing? He's only at 46 points. He needs to check in. And Saskatchewan Wheat Demons with 47. So right now, it's Mr. Pass is leading the way with 327 points, and Saskatchewan Wheat Demons at 250, Blob Stars at 210, and I am at 179. I like my lineup. Jack Cohen, I'm a little concerned about him. And I had Brian Hill on the bench. That was dumb. How about Kalen Balaj, Eli Rogers? Probably get rid of him. Cedric Bird. I got Hakeem Butler, Garrett Owens, and John Parker Romo as well on my team. So that's my team. Let's take a look, just for fun. Let's take a look at it's Mr. Pass. What is his team on News Hub Fantasy? And you could sign up right now. Like, people are creating XFL fantasy football leagues right now and playing and drafting and doing all that stuff. And it's all working. I'm looking at like this stats and the errors and all this other stuff, and they're in there and they're having a good time. So what's his team look like? He's got Brandon Silvers, Morgan Ellison, Jacor Pearson, Dante Burnett, John Trey Kirkland, Sal Canella, and Matthew McCranes. He's got a stacked team. So that's why he's winning, because he's got he's got Sea Dragons and Roughnecks. That's smart. Mr. Pass is going to be tough to beat, but we'll have to see if things change with the waiver wire. Is there any good, just for fun, let's just for a second, is there any good quarterbacks out there? I mean, really the only ones out there, Luis Perez and Kyle Sloter over Cone. I have to see if Cone is out, then I'd probably go with Sloter. I think Brent Hundley will come back. So, and this ranks all of, like, based on their stats and everything like that. Though I'll take Blake Jackson. Is he available? Let's see. Who should we drop? Blake Jackson for Eli Rogers. We'll definitely do that. So there you go. Just made a change right here on the app, on the website. So now I've got Blake Jackson in my starting lineup. Cool. So you can always join that up, and there's USFL stuff as well. Let's get to what's up in the chat. Let's hang out with the chat for a second. What's up, chat? How you guys doing? Let's see. Wow, there's a lot of messages on here. Make sure you smash that like button. Cause the law. Let's see here. Greg checking in. This league is awesome. I agree. Damon says Renegades suck. Do you think Bob Stoops is a little overrated? I mean, this was kind of the team in 2020. We were all kind of like, oh, Stoops is going to win it all. And then remember they got rid of, this was around the time they changed their offensive coordinator. So who knows what's going on with that. So I want Stoops to be good, and I want the Renegades to be good. Just a little concerned what's going on there. Nicholas says, even though my Renegades got stomped, it was still awesome to see the turnout in St. Louis. And this is the thing. XFL fans are bros. Like DC Defenders games, everybody's cool. Everybody's having a good time. If you come from like a different town, like XFL community needs to be cool. Like we can't be like some of these other leagues, like the Philadelphia fans that punched, Santa Claus and, or New York Rangers fans that knock out some play, you know what I mean? Or get like annoying. Like we got to be, this is our league and we are going to create the culture for it. And we need to not be like the NFL. We just need to be fun, cool league and just very welcoming. Steven says all football rules. I agree with you there. Russ says go Battlehawks. Not this weekend. Kakal is not the law. Chris says Vanderish looked good. Yes, he keeps coming up on stats. St. Louis Battlehawks are going to pummel the Defenders. I'm going to be there to see them win by more than one field goal that they win by. Chris, I think you're wrong. Russ says, Chris, that's right. No, you're not right. Kakal is not the law against America's team. I just want to point that out. Let's see. Who else is on? Lemons v. Cuts. Leeton Venderish got a cousin on the Arlington Renegades. Okay. John says, might be time to look at a QB change in San Antonio, but that run game is a mess right now. That was, I mean, they were good in the beginning with the run game. I wouldn't give up on that offense just yet. But man, you listen to Hines Ward, you listen to you're talking Terrell Buckley, Hines Ward, Rod Woodson. They don't play that PC like coach speak. They're like, nah, this sucks. This guy didn't do his job right. Like they're just calling people out. I just think I love it. I love it. And Rod Woodson, I love his press conferences. I'm a huge fan of Rod Woodson at a press conference. I thought he'd be livid, but he was still, I mean, he's like, we don't got the cleats. Where are the cleats? It's great. Great stuff. Mike G, Renegades are sad, boring team, horrible uniforms. Even Slaughter is not the answer. Maybe a hair better than Plitt, but that's not saying much. I'm surprised. That's why I'm like, all right, Slaughter is a guy. Slaughter to me is a guy. I mean, if you put Slaughter on San Antonio, would he make that team better? So, is it the coordinators, guys? Like, I think we're going to see some coaching shifts this week, because we're basically almost at the halfway point. Russ says, can't wait to hear from Rod Woodson. Yeah, he was good. Mike G says, Perez always rising from the grave. John says, Chris Mason has a bit of a limp, but wet field is not good for his hamstrings. Let's see, who else? Elusive Poet, Rod, giving sore loser. We all saw it at the camera view. That's the part where it's like, dude, like they replayed it. Like, does somebody go to him, or are they afraid to go up to him and be like, Rod, look, come on, be honest. But yeah, it was but I agree with Rod Woodson, and I was like thinking to myself, and I've heard this before, where it's like, oh, we've got to change the cleats because of the field conditions, and it seems like, I mean, that's 2 games that he's had to deal with slippery, wet conditions, and you know what I mean? But part of me is like, well, they won't allow those cleats in certain stadiums. Like, what's that? What's the deal with that? John says Ray Sherman called a good offensive game. I mean, they were around. They were around. Definitely were around. All right. Lots of chats in here. Love it. All right, let's get to some social media stuff and phone calls. so we can wrap this show up. First up on the social media stuff. Let's see, yeah. But the Battlehawks beating Arlington in front of a record crowd. Robert says, unfortunately, unless other team attendance increase, this will be a short-lived league. It was great to see. What do you... After 4 weeks, bro. The all-time spring attendance, David said, attendance record may belong to Jacksonville Bulls of the original USFL at over 62,000. Haven't looked it up in a while. But yeah, USFL had a bunch of games in the 80s. Oh, I got you. He's saying maybe I should switch it around. So the winning thing is in the front. Okay, I get that. I can do that. 80,000 at the Liberty Bowl for the boats in the 80s. So yeah, I mean, there was definitely a USFL team. But Robert's saying this is something I see constantly on social media. But you know what it is? Because fans have gotten burned by the AAF and then the XFL closing its doors. But remember, hey, the USFL played, the Spring League played. I think we're past that, and I don't think these leagues are going to shut down anytime soon. I want to get past, personally, I want to just get past week 5 so I can be like, okay, this is where we were before. It would be great to just play. I'll be thankful every week after that. Tip it and then let's go. But I don't think there's anything holding the league back right now. Everything is hunky-dory, basically. Nate says it'll be incredible. Hats off to the people of St. Louis. Everybody's excited about the sold-out decent crowd. Yeah, that was awesome. The Beer Snake coming along. Posted this as well. I'm a Seattle fan, but I say feed the Beer Snake. Yeah, it's just a great, I am telling you. And that section was in the rain, and look how much beer they drank. What would be the estimated cost of the snake? I think some commentator on ESPN mentioned like how much it would cost or how much the Beer Snake is worth. Some math nerd needs to figure that out. We'd appreciate that. But yeah, that was pretty funny. Games coming up this week. This is going to be interesting. I wanted to talk about this. So we're almost at the halfway point. Are you ready? So Thursday night, March 16th at 10:30. Man, that's late. That's past my bedtime. I go to bed at 10. My dog, Finn, you all know my dog, Finn, he goes to bed at 10:30. Like, this dog does not look at a clock. He's not a clock. He doesn't look at the clock and say it's 10:30. But, man, you'll look around and be like, where's Finn? And he'll be in bed. He puts himself to bed at 10:30. It's funny he does it. Maybe it'll be 11:30 now or whatever because the time changes or whatever. So Thursday, that's on FX. Houston Roughnecks, Sea Dragons, the June Jones Bowl. The June Jones Bowl. Let's go. Seattle Sea Dragons, because they take it to the Houston Roughnecks. We will see at home in Seattle. Rumblings we'll get here in a second that the ticket sales are doing well. I want to see, and then we always talk about, all right, so anyway, then we have DC Defenders, 7 o'clock, Battlehawks on FX. I said in my video, and I'll say it now, yo, ABC, what do you have going on at 7 o'clock on a Saturday? I mean, I know March Madness and all that other stuff. Does ABC have March Madness games? You have bowling on or some replay of some TV show? Like, put this game on ABC, man. 10 o'clock. I'm excited about this one. Guardians, Vipers. I think Vipers are going to win, but it's in Cashman Field, so stick that game on FX. I totally agree with that. And then Sunday's game. So I'm intrigued on all of these games. All of them. And then Renegades, Brahmas at home. I think the Brahmas could win it. This would be my last. If I'm Hines Ward, I would let Jack Cohn. This would be the last one. You're playing at home. We're in a home turf. We have a chance. I mean, the Vipers are always going to be 6,000. Battlehawks could be 38,000. Brahmas got 22, 24,000. Let me know in the chat room on their first game. Now they've had time. They got rid of their events person, apparently. And now they've had some time to sell tickets and everything and get things going. Did the Brahmas have a big crowd, or did they go down? So I'm really hoping Seattle, Battlehawk, all three of those teams. The Vipers are going to get 6,000. And Brahmas, those three teams, they have really big crowds this week, which will be really cool to see. We got what went wrong with the Battlehawks. Renegades lost the Battlehawks from Anthony Miller. Pudge, our media, he said nothing went wrong. Everything went just how it should have been. Battlehawks are America's team. Accept it. And I said, no. So Pudge, our media, could be banned for life for saying such travesty on the Twitter world. Of course, on the networks, I broke down all this stuff about the games we talked about earlier. Dave says, big issue right now is competition. Take yesterday, for example. I'd love to watch the XFL, but you had Players Championship. Yeah, I'm like becoming golf guy. I am becoming golf guy. NASCAR, not so much on during XFL games, so I had to not watch the XFL. Might make sense to avoid Sunday and stick with some Thursday, Friday, Saturday schedule. There was other people had commented on here. I forget. Oh, yeah. Bernie says, moving that game to Sunday afternoon might backfire on the ratings. It will partially be going up against the NCAA's women's basketball title game, which depends on the matchup. Draws a healthy number. UConn, South Carolina, almost 5 million on ESPN last year, on ABC this year. So, maybe that's why, one of those things. And comeback period, always check out his YouTube channel. Opposed to having games going head-to-head with WrestleMania, which is supposed to have the largest viewership on company history per the WWE's last sales call. I think it's going against NCAA is better than Mania. So you got a lot of things going on. There's no doubt about that. Player 54. It wasn't on this past week. I was like, did anybody watch it? And so it's coming on the 16th. And then Alt Ball Bob's Power Ranking says episode 4 is the 16th. And then we say, are not sure why. Didn't want to miss anything, blah, blah, blah. My thing is, why did you skip a week? You only have 10 weeks in the season. Why are we skipping a week? You getting a week off? I thought that was kind of weird. I was like looking for it. I love Player 54. But why did you skip a week? You take one, you know what I mean? You only got 10 weeks, unless you're planning to do it year round. This was interesting, popping up. This is the XFL statement from March 12th, 2020. So that was yesterday. And I remember it like it was yesterday. Currently, the XFL will not be playing its regular season games. However, all players will be paid for their base salary and benefits for the 2020 regular season. All XFL ticket holders will be issued refunds or credit towards future games. The XFL is committed to playing a full season in 2021 and future years. Well, we all know that they didn't play a game in 2021, but they did play in future years right now. So the statement is true, just years later and just different owners with Danny Garcia. Who would have thought The Rock and Danny Garcia, Redbird Capital, will be owning the XFL after this statement come out? And he says, Nicholas says, not going to lie, seeing this appear on my feed scared the heck out of me until I saw it was from 2020. But good, he checked the fine print. But yeah, so that was, 3 years ago. Gosh. And we've been podcasting ever since, even during that time. I took maybe like a couple weeks off here and there, but been doing it the whole time. XFL Pete says 27,000 tickets out of for Saturday's game so far in St. Louis. Let's hope they push hard to get closer to that opener. He said they did just add more 300 level seating, so it seems the same open seat pattern as before. I don't know. Chat room, do you think the Battlehawks will get close to that number again? I mean, they're already at 27,000. I hope so. I mean, this is a big game. The other one was the first. This is a big game. And the naysayers will be like, well, now it went down. It was a week later. I mean, let's see. I think they were at 27,000. Well, I mean, then they were opening things up. I hope they hit that number again or get close to it. I think if you get over 30,000 for the second game, I still think that's a great number. And there we have that as well. All right. Oh, let's get to a phone call, shall we?
Hey, Mark, third and last call. I do got a question. I've heard you and a whole bunch of people that comment on like the XFL, all the alternative football leagues, or XFL, USFL, and the business model. I know how the USFL and XFL are taking almost very, very different approaches. My question is, I know for me, it's all about making sure the money stays and everything. I'm just so concerned because I want both leagues. I don't hate one and love the other more. I'm very, very equal. I want to see both these leagues to succeed. I love year-round football. This is great. 3 different teams, 3 different times of the year. It's absolutely wonderful. My only concern with the XFL is where they're spending their money. It just seemed like when they came out with the new football, the new logos, was there a reason why they had to get a new XFL logo, a new reason why they had to give a lot of these teams like basically a makeover in how they looked? Was it something as far as like when they bought the teams they had to make it? Because it just seems like all the old logos, no one was offended by, at least to my knowledge, no one was offended by them or thought they were horrible looking. I'm just curious because it just seems like they spent a lot of money on the different ball, the different logos for the teams and everything. I know some places are new locations, so I understand it, but I'm just curious, what was the mindset behind that? And if you've explained it before, I'm deeply sorry if I just missed that episode. Just curious, and what your take is. I'm just like, everything else about the league's great. I'm just curious, like, why did they have to change so much from 2020? I'm just curious. And if I'm not, like I said, I'm not being mean. I'm just curious, was there like a contract reason, like you can buy the league, but you got to change X amount of logos, or it's like some copyright thing from the previous ownership, or how did that work? And I'm sorry if I'm butchering that question really bad.
No, you're good. I mean, I appreciate the phone call as always. God bless there. They wanted to put their own spin on it. And what do you think of the logo? I mean, this is the, I have this one, this very like hat, because a lot of the logos were like red, white, and blue, and they put their own they wanted to put their own spin on it. You knew they would. They kept some of the other ones, the old stuff, like, the New York Hitman and all that stuff. I mean, that would be cool if they brought it back. I would definitely get the IPs and use and sell the merch kind of thing. But they just kind of want to put their own spin. But, I mean, my thing is, hey, a lot of the research has already been done. That's why I think they just said, hey, let's just keep the Vipers stuff and we'll just change the logo and move it out here. Brahmas is probably something they have already owned in some other form or fashion, so they knew that no one else could take it. So that was kind of easy. And that's why they kind of kept the original names and not really renaming anything too, which stinks because if you went back to New York, you would want to be the New York Guardians. If you went back to LA, they still have LA Wildcats. But, they just wanted to kind of mix things up and put their own spin on things. And they were smart, though. They didn't, like, get rid of the St. Louis Battlehawks because all of that research and all that stuff has been done already. So you had to kind of continue to use it. All right, next phone call.
Man, Mark, I'm watching this game here. It's almost halftime when I'm watching this. Houston is up 20-3. Orlando just cannot get anything done, man. This team, I mean, I don't know if it's the coaching staff. I don't know if it's the players. I don't know, but this whole coaching staff needs an overhaul, man. It is just sad. I mean, this team is not even – I mean, Paxton Lynch just got another sack. Why is Paxton Lynch even in the game at this point? DeAndre Francois was driving him down the field. What? Like, what are we doing? Okay, Mark, I'm going to finish this game. Great show. Houston just got the ball back. Orlando fumbled it. Wow, this is crazy. Anyway, Orlando sucks. I'm just going to say it. I'm usually not super negative, but Orlando is just bad, man. What are we going to do about Orlando? Oh, my goodness. Anyways, great show. Thanks for everything. Thanks for the podcast. Keeping us informed. All right, man. Have a good one.
All right. He's upset. Orlando watching the game. Hey, and if you guys want to call in while you're watching the game, I think that's awesome. Just getting your take. I mean, they're new coaches. They're learning on the fly. I don't think Paxton Lynch is the problem. Mike Mitchell had said, and remember, we're going to have our roundtable next week talking all about all this kind of stuff. And one of the, things that was the drafting of the players might not have been the greatest thing. So we kind of predicted that Orlando would be bad. And I think that's why they brought in Paxton Lynch. And is DeAndre Francois the answer? Is Quentin Flowers, who hasn't played, he was a forklift operator or something like that. Is he going to be the guy all of a sudden? Come on. I don't think so. I think your best bet is Paxton Lynch. And, everybody blames the quarterback at first. And I thought Paxton Lynch is playing better. But, yeah, they don't look good. And, I mean, this is the, Pittsburgh Maulers of the XFL right now. But, we'll see. Somebody's going to be the worst team in the league this weekend. We will find out. And I am so curious about this game. I think the Vipers will win. We'll have to see. But I appreciate the phone call. Yeah, and if you guys call during games, I also want you to send me your videos when you're at games. Just tag me on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, I can download them from there. We tried to have one of the guys send me a video uploaded, and I couldn't get it. So, I would love to see your videos, your reaction, your take. Like, send me your videos. I would love to see it. Or even just call during the game and be like, hey, I'm right at the Battlehawks game. What's up? Like, listen to how loud this is. Like, that's cool. As long as you call in this weekend and tell me that the DC Defenders are winning. All right, one more phone call.
Hey, Mark, it's Lek again. Just finishing up a few points. Like I said, I think the city selection for the league is better this time. I think that in 2001 and 2020, they were too concerned about having presence in New York and Los Angeles. Because I think teams in those markets are just likely to fall through the cracks because those markets are just so crowded with, the super major leagues. And I think the main emphasis instead should be putting teams where they're likely to be a big draw, and I think they're doing that a lot better now. And obviously they need to fix the Las Vegas stadium situation. But other than that, I think they're doing a great job. And I still hope for a team here in Indianapolis. I think the city would really get behind it. And, we have the facilities for it. But in the meantime, I'll continue following the league wherever the teams are. And I'll tell you, man, 3 years ago, a few million crazed football fans who miss the sport like crazy every February to September were just getting to start to fall in love with the XFL. And for a few hundred or a few thousand of us, we were finding your podcast to be a great supplement to the league. It was a one-stop source for everything we needed to know. You enhanced the XFL experience for us, and after listening to the podcast a few days ago, it suddenly hit me. All that crap that happened 3 years ago, we survived. The league and the podcast are back. They're alive and well, and after being without them for 3 years, I'm going to appreciate them a lot more the second time around. So long live the XFL, and long live the XFL Week in Review. And Mark, thank you so much for keeping the faith for so long and keeping this podcast going. If the XFL had 1 million followers like you, they'd be bigger than the NFL. So keep up the great work. Best wishes to you and your family, and I'll talk to you again soon, buddy.
Hey, thank you very much, Indy Caller. You're awesome. That made my day. Thank you very much. Yeah, we just kind of kept the light on and we were continuing to talk about it. And I want to, you guys are busy doing your thing. And I want to just be able to have some fun and kind of keep you up to date with what's going on in the league. And I've said this multiple times that we've kept the lights on. We've been around longer. I mean, Mike Mitchell has been around longer than anybody in the XFL because he was covering the league in 2001. I've been around since 2018 covering the league, and I was giving up. And then I got some phone calls and some messages saying, hey, man, there's something going on here. Don't give up yet. Just trust me. Don't give up. And I was like, okay, cool. And I just kind of and then, I'll never forget when they announced The Rock bought the XFL. I was shaking. I was like, what? Like, who are these people? The Rock bought the XFL. Oh my gosh. And then it was, and then we had and we knew about the CFL talks in advance. I can't tell you how many storylines. One day we will write a book. How many storylines, including the XFL now, including this past week, that we've been involved with behind the scenes stuff. But we were reaching out to people in the XFL saying, hey, we got people this couple people are claiming that you guys are talking to the CFL. What's going on there? Anything? Oh, let me get back to you. And then 2 days later, it was like the XFL and the CFL are talking. And they had been talking since September, and we kind of outed them later on. So it's been a fun journey, frustrating at times, but that was the thing, keeping the lights on. And now we're here, and it's fun. Also, you're right. Indianapolis, you know, you talk about San Diego. As long as you can play in the Dome in Indianapolis, I mean, Pat McAfee would put you guys over in the sports world big time if the XFL had a team in Indianapolis. And somebody brought up in the chat somewhere in here, just kind of passing through, that, you know, what if next year St. Louis can hold its own? Somebody said that somewhere. And the team could be in that market by itself and practice there and whatever. But, I mean, I think they want ownership. I think a model would be you could put a team in St. Louis and have that be their home. Now, they would super have a home field advantage. But then that means that you have room to add another team, and that team could do what the model – basically, everybody goes to the central location, and then if they can make things work, like – I mean, if they could sell 38,000, 35,000 tickets a game, then why not let them, at that point, they're self-sustaining, let them move out to their own area. If the DC Defenders can make enough money, selling beer snakes to fund the team to be in DC, you can do that. And if you were able to move those two teams into their home locations full-time, now the problem is the resources and you getting a lot of extra bang for your buck. I mean, even if you trained there and half of the season you were at, I don't know. That would be very difficult to figure out. But that's for people. But then you could put two new teams, like you can add teams to the hub and have them go out. I mean, Indianapolis, never thought about Indianapolis as a spot. That's a definite spot. At San Diego. I mean, the thing is, I was looking at, and we were talking about this, I think, on the last show, about the attendance. Everybody's going to focus on the attendance and ratings. The ratings will probably be down. I'm hoping we still stay in that 500,000. I mean, this happened to the USFL. It happens to, us. It's going to happen to us. It's going to go down and it will bounce back as we move towards the playoffs. And then you're going to have the competing with the USFL. I mean, they have games that are going to be competing with the XFL championship games on broadcast television. You talk about going head to head. That's going to be awesome. But I mean, we need to get for me to feel comfortable, we need to get to that 20,000 level. 20,000 in Arlington and Houston. Seattle does more than 20,000. They have a big stadium. St. Louis holds its own. DC they can only hold 21,000. So if we can get 18 to the game, I think that's good. Get that level. Orlando had a good attendance. They were at over 20,000 in the AAF. San Antonio was over 20,000, and they have good markets. It's just the Vegas one, but they really wanted. I think they had kind of let's jam our fist into Vegas. Let's get our foot in the door, and then we'll deal with it later. But it's definitely we'll see. And that's for me. We've been covering this league for so long. Like, you want it to succeed, and sometimes you see this crap online and you kind of take it personally. When I realize is that that's not my mission. It's not about me, and it's not an attack on me per se. It's just I need to focus on what I need to do, which is to put over these leagues, and we kept the lights on throughout this whole time. And it's been fun. It's been a great journey, and be able to talk about sports and bring more people into our family. And we're the ones that get to control and create this universe now, the XFL Nation. And we want it to be cool, with full of bros and sisters hanging out, having a good time. My wife and daughter, they were by themselves. Everybody was super cool to them. They were buying them drinks. They were talking to them. I mean, they had a blast. And I mean, that's what the XFL Nation needs to be. So I appreciate the call. I'm going to start throwing out Indianapolis out there, bro. For you. We're going to put that out there. Put out the Indianapolis stuff. So appreciate the phone call. Awesome phone call. You made my day. God bless, sir. Appreciate that. Let's get to some last-minute chats and get you on your way. Zachary Moore says, didn't change Houston Roughnecks. Loved it. Right to censor Val. Said they don't represent Dallas, which was a bigger market. Arlington, come on now. I mean, they're playing in the same spot. And I will tell you this, right to censor. The reason, according to allegedly from Mike Mitchell, is that Arlington gave them money to use the name Arlington. So that's why they're not called Dallas and why they're called Arlington. They offered Vince money. Vince said no. They offered the XFL money, and the XFL said yes. So that's why it's called Arlington, because they want to put their city over. I mean, the team is in there. Might as well put Arlington out there. So that's why. Lusa Poet, at least the Giants and Jets used to play in New York City. That's true. And the problem with New York and LA is just too expensive. And it's just not worth it. And you're right. There's a lot of teams playing there and a lot of other things going on. And just the optics between LA, Tampa, which they wanted Orlando, but they couldn't do Orlando because AAF was there. So they had to go somewhere else, Florida. So that's why they went to Tampa with a big NFL stadium. But that's kind of why that they're. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if you do an off season where you're teasing the XFL season closes out, we're done in May. You give everybody a break, and then maybe during the summer you have some training camps, and you start teasing out, like announcing a new location over the summer, and you just tease the heck out of that all summer long. Like, that's just going to get people all sorts of fired up. A draft and locations are your two biggest things to draw interest. Don says Orlando is more than likely to finish dead last this season. We'll see. I think you're right. He also says, but this is the one thing that I have mentioned before, because there is only one owner. There is no free agency. They need to do things to make sure that one team is not always at the bottom. Yeah, that's true. We saw that the USFL does this kind of college draft, which I think is a good idea. Just having a draft gets a lot of interest. I just don't know how you just have a free agency thing. The offseason is going to be really interesting, how they do this stuff. You really need to have some kind of draft or something innovative and different. I mean, you know, where you get to franchise a bunch of players, but then other players, like you don't have to franchise your whole team, but then you want that continuity. Or maybe you can only keep 80% of your team. I don't know. Just something to kind of mix it up and have a draft, I think would be cool. Let's see. Gotti says sports commentators at XFL radio podcasts in Japan mentioned the Rock's favorite pet teams are going gradually relocate next year because they do not know what they're. I don't know what you're talking about there. A. Mitch says got to score more points across the league will improve ratings, in my opinion. Chris says, can you dig it? I can dig it, sucker. Greg says, sorry, gang. San Diego is must for U.S. spring football fans. It is the golden market in the Golden State. I agree with that. Right to Censor says, do you think a team gets relocated next year? If any team does, I mean, are they going to be like, hey, you need to we have some emailers too. You know, is there a rule of thumb that you need to have an owner? Or is there a rule of thumb that they'll put it there if it's making enough money? That's kind of the deal there. All right, let's wrap it up. Remember, we're going to be live on Thursday as well, so we can chit-chat more there. But I appreciate it. Make sure you smash the like button. Just make sure the last button. Matthew, checking in. So just getting to around listening to last night's episode. He's talking about Thursday. I just want to take a second to affirm everything you said regarding the XFL TV ratings and Mike Florio's bias and inaccurate commentary on the matter. Your analysis was empirical and evidence-based. Everything you said reinforced why I choose not to have a Twitter account and try to tune out Mr. Florio. Keep rocking it, man. Your show is awesome. Thank you very much, Matthew. I appreciate that. James, checking in. Battlehawk and XFL Nation. This is a matchup of the year so far in the XFL 3.0. It's going to be a great game. He's talking about America's team, your DC Defenders, taking on, in the Battle Dome, taking the cacaw out of the law with the DC Defenders out on top, beating St. Louis in their home stadium. Mark, the XFL News Hub is great. St. Louis for sure wants to be the first XFL franchise to call St. Louis their full-time home. We have the facilities that supports our Battlehawks all year. Battlehawk Hub is in the STL in 2024. I mean, I remember the XFL gave them a bunch of money to do stuff in there, so that's a possibility. James checking in. Appreciate the email. Yeah, so we are going to talk a lot of trash on Thursday's show, so we'll have fun with that, my friends. So check out Thursday's show. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Make sure you smash that like button, and it's going to be fun. This is what it's all about, right? Just having fun. And I enjoy talking to you guys, hanging out, and talking junk about the silly things, spring football. It's fun. Or so if you want to be part of the show, email podcast at XFL News Hub with your thoughts. Oh, yeah, I also have a USFL News Hub podcast that I did over the weekend. You want to check that out. Leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 3. You got 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes to speak your piece. Otherwise, you're out. Just kind of leave that. Also, make sure you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We appreciate that. And we are live, 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday and Thursday. We'll be live this Thursday again. Missing an event to come hang out with you jabronis to talk about the XFL. We've got a big game on tonight or that night, and then going into the weekend. So make sure you can still play fantasy football. You can still join our DraftKings league. That's a lot of fun. I've been hitting the parlays and picking the games. The one thing I have not been able to do is pick a good lineup, and that was a frustrating. Remember, we had a caller at the beginning of the season was talking about the stats and everything, and that's a frustrating thing for DFS players, is because it was the XFL has done a good job, and we try to get the word out for the inactives, but still, the data is not there for fans, and they're really missing out on that piece of the audience. Hopefully we can pick that next year. Would a Mexican-themed team work in LA? Something like the La Diablos. Mr. Pete Channel has reached the big time. That's his name. That's an interesting one, my friend. That is an interesting one. All right, my friends, that's it for me, folks. As always, God bless. Maybe we'll get Finn the dog on. Next week's Monday show is going to be off the charts. We're going to have reporters from XFL News Hub on the show. Mike Mitchell has already confirmed that he will be here, answer your jabroni questions. We'll get our take on the halfway season. Who's MVP? We're going to talk about that. Who's the favorite to be in the championship game? We'll get all that stuff. We probably should do a contest. It'll be fun. So XFL Nation, we will see you on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Again, smash that like button. God bless. As always, you guys are the best. Love my XFL Nation homies. My bros, you guys are awesome. That's it from me, folks. God bless, and I will see you all later.